Hello, it's Honey, and in this video I've got some really positive things to share with you. I finally got my gender recognition certificate granted over the weekend, and yeah, it's all official now. Granted under the 2004 Gender Recognition Act. So, as I've been saying lately, all of this coming together now finally means that basically I've completed all of my original goals from basically 5 years ago medically, but 4 years publicly having transitioned. So 5 years ago I set myself a goal of publicly transitioning and medically transitioning, and the big ones on that list, and when I went to the GIC, were obviously, for me anyway, were to get on HRT, to do voice therapy and hair removal, to get facial feminization surgery, and to get my GRC certificate. Out of all of those things, that has definitely been the longest and hardest road. I originally thought that actually getting the facial feminization surgery would be the biggest ask. But yeah, the GRC certificate was the toughest one to get, and yeah, I just want to talk a little bit today about it, and also at the end I'll show redacted photos of what I received, obviously, because I don't want to share my details on the internet, but I'll share redacted versions of what I've received, and also just throw it open to answer any questions that anyone has. And what I've already learned, because obviously it's not just you get it and it's done. Well, it is you get it and it's done, but it's what you can do with that now that you've got it. And so when I filled out the forms, I did select for HM Customs and Revenue and all the hm.gov sort of people to be informed that I've been granted it, and also for my birth certificate to be updated as well. I tick those boxes for that to happen, and yeah, the pack or information that I received along with it says that I should, in the next 2 weeks to 2 months, receive a revised / new birth certificate, and that in the next few months HMRC will update their records accordingly to show that both PYE, tax, national insurance, pension, state pension, all of that will be updated, retirement age, all of that will be changed and sorted out. Not that that will benefit me, because I'm born after 1978, so by the time I'm old enough to retire, it will already be the same for everyone, so there won't be that gender divide or sex/gender divide there anymore. The retirement age will be the same for males and females by the time I actually ever get there. The pack that comes with it has everything that's going to be updated, and it also warns you that if you didn't opt for those things to be done automatically, then you must immediately get those things done. So it's kind of a bit of a weird one as to why you wouldn't tick the box, or why it's even an option, because it does immediately inform you that you need to update these agencies if you haven't already elected for them to do so. So why wouldn't you just, because I wouldn't want to get my certificate in my hands and then immediately have to package it up and send it off to HMRC and all the rest of it. Like, no thank you. With they suggest telling your doctor, those were one of the first people I got it updated with after I got my gender dysphoria diagnosis way back in 2017. They were like one of the first people I told to change it. And your employer, again, if they're aware of your status, then yeah, then you can choose to update them as well. Really cool to finally have it. Obviously my employer already knows, so I've updated them and sent them a copy just in case they need to share it internally with like the pay people, in case there's any problems there, in case HMRC don't do my tax codes and things like they're meant to within 2 months. Again, it should be automatic. I can't say in this video what's going to be, whether it goes all smoothly. I guess in another 2 to 3 months I'll do another one of these and we'll find out. I was numb. Terror. I think everyone was surprised that I didn't have like a massive like reaction of elation, but I kind of just shut down because I was prepared for the worst. I am always like a bit of a Debbie Downer like that, and so when it arrived and I saw it was from them and I read the first few lines, it was just like, we've reached a decision, and the decision is, and I was just terrified that it wouldn't be the right decision and that I would not have it after it being such a goal for me for so long. And you don't need one of these, obviously, to be transgender, and you can go through your entire life without one, and only 7,000 of them have even been issued since 2004. It's not like the media and like certain people would have you believe that, you know, you can just do this in a heartbeat. It took me 4 years of public life in order to get this, and it's not something every trans person chooses to do or even needs to do. But some of the things that it changes were important to me. Most notably, birth and death certificate can both now be issued as female, and that was something that was important to me. For some reason, a lot of people don't care what happens to them afterwards, and I have no spiritualism. I don't believe that I will be aware of what happens. It's almost vanity. I just don't want other people to come along and be able to look at a record that isn't a record of who I am and how I lived my life. And if I had died previously for whatever reason, that record would not have reflected who and how I lived my life. And so I wanted it was important to me that be acknowledged. It also gives you more legal grounds to push back against certain negative things that sometimes happen to trans people, like going to the wrong prison or going to wrong hospitals, or just anything that the government's got a lot of its fingers in terms of controlling. Government sanctioned places of recognition, birth, death, hospitals, prisons, tax, all these things are affected by this, and I wanted to have it fixed, and I've done that. And so that day I was just completely numb, and then the next day it all just sort of sank in, I guess. And yeah, it was so good to realise that basically those goals I set myself 4 or 5 years ago have all been actualised now, and that everything's where it needs to be. Now I've added goals to that since, you know, I'm doing voice therapy for a second time because I'm still not happy with where my voice is, and all these things. And there's other surgery like the revision for my nose that I'm still looking into after the FFS because of that. there are new goals that have come along. It's not over, you know, but in terms of having achieved all my original goals, it's done. I can draw a line under that part now, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to have actually done that, especially when 4 or 5 years ago it just didn't seem feasible at all. The other thing I need to add is it is classed as a sensitive document, and it explains this on the thing itself, but it is classed as a sensitive document, which basically means you do not have to run around showing this to everyone. You have your certificate, it is logged, it should automatically do those things if you said yes with the correct agencies. If not, you have to tell them, but it's classed as a sensitive document, so only specific agencies that are listed, and say the courts, if you do bad things at any point, would be allowed access to that document, and of course yourself, because you're the named person in the document, and you can do what the hell you like with it. If you want to post it online and show everyone, you know, you can, you know, because you might not want to reveal that history once you've got your birth certificate, and once those agencies are all updated, you could potentially just live stealth after that. That's not me, but that is something that you could do. You're not forced to use it. One of the other things that they actually said about was because so when you say you're applying for a job that requires you to have a DBS, the data barring service, whatever it's called, for the background history check. So say like you're trying to work, well, in most public institutions, so schools, hospitals, again, anywhere the government's got a finger in the pie, you have to have background checks done. It says that you can actually apply for a sensitive one of those, which is also cool, because what it does is basically it transfers obviously any history over to the new thing, or the new identity, without showing your old details, because the normal formula is like, if you've changed your name and anything in the last 5 years, you can get a sensitive one of those, which basically would show any convictions, any cautions. Mine's clear, just to be clear. But it shows any convictions, any cautions that you've had, but it would just be under your identity that it is now. That's pretty cool. You can get one of those. And it's not just trans people that can get those. If you're in witness protection or something like that, there's a reason why this sensitive DBS exists. You know, if you're in witness protection, or you've had to change your identity for any reason, you can get one of these. And so yeah, it's pretty cool that that's a thing that exists. If my DBS ever needs to be done for some reason, I definitely will be doing that, and I've informed my employer that basically they are to do that if it's required, because I've already informed them that I've got this certificate and shared a copy of it with one specific person who knows everything that's going on, and I've requested that, like, if they feel there's a need for anyone else in the company to view it, then I am to be told, because it's a sensitive document and it's allowed to be shared in limited quantities, I guess. Yeah, and it's just cool. It's cool that I can do that. That there's protections out there that exist, and yeah. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to throw up the redacted versions, so you've got an idea of the cover letter and the document itself, and then I'm just gonna obviously throw it open for any of you who have questions that want information about how to maybe go about getting one, what was required. It's not a smooth or pleasant process. Despite what people would have you believe, it is robust, it is complicated, and at times it's humiliating. And I know I was certainly humiliated when I had to go and get, as I've already detailed before, I was certainly humiliated when I had to go and get a bunch of documents. No, when I had to get my statutory disclaimer form or whatever it was signed by an independent lawyer. That was also a humiliating process. It might not have been, it didn't have to be, but that was my experience, and yeah, it's not great. So I am happy to have it. I, in the end, feel it was important to me and worthwhile, and if it's worthwhile and important to you, then feel free to reach out and ask what you like. Maybe I'll do videos about it. If it's not something you want or feel that you need, then cool. Again, most trans people never apply for one of these. They don't feel the need to, and that is absolutely fine. I would like to make the process a little easier for people that do, and also work towards recognising the same rights for people that don't. You know, there should be adequate protections for everyone. So anyway, thank you for listening, and it was really nice to have some positive news to share with yourselves. Catch you next time. Bye.